welcome back to Hike Oregon. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a 12,000 subscriber Q&A. For those of you who are new here, thank you so much and welcome to the Hike Oregon family. I film lots of hiking vlogs as well as gear reviews and just overall tips and tricks helping you become a more educated hiker and backpacker. If you have not yet subscribed, go ahead and click that subscribe button as well as the little notification bell so that you don't miss any videos from me that are coming up. I've done quite a few Q&A videos, so I will link all the ones that I've done in the more info box below if you want to binge watch and get to know me a little bit better. I have a little over 20 questions, so let's get into it. Albert N from Patreon asked, what's on your bucket list for hiking? So my hiking bucket list is obviously extensive, but we'll just focus on kind of the next 2 years. And what's been on my bucket list for a long time now are the Wallowas and the Sierras, and both of those are going to be hit in 2020, so I'm super excited. And then of course the Washington section of the Pacific Crest Trail as well as the desert section of the PCT. Those are also both high on my bucket list, so we'll see about getting that done maybe in 2021. Charlie B from Facebook asked, have you had an emergency on the trail? Have you seen or witnessed one? If so, on either, what did you learn from it? So I'm super lucky and I have never actually witnessed a super crazy emergency on trail. I've never witnessed like a medical emergency or anything like that. I've never experienced one. The only thing that I did witness once, and that did teach me a really good lesson, was we were coming down from South Sister. Someone wanted to traverse one of the glaciers, but kind of misread the landscape altogether and got in a really precarious situation where she was about to slide down and fall into a crevasse. So she was screaming for help, and luckily my friend was able to go over there and lay down and like hand his trekking pole down and was able to pull her up. So ever since then I do carry paracord in my pack just in case someone falls and we can't reach them. I do have a lengthy amount of paracord so that we would be able to hopefully rescue someone if they had fallen. Taking a Walk Adventures from YouTube asked, any future plans on doing another thru hike? So I got this question actually quite a bit. This was just the first person who asked that, but after that a few other people did ask the same question, and the answer is not right now. I mean, people consider different things a thru hike. I guess some people consider like a point-to-point hike a thru hike. So really, I mean, that could mean anything. And yes, I do have lengthy backpacking trips planned, but as far as like the big PCT, CDT, or AT or something like that, no, I'm not doing any thru hikes on any of those trails in the near future. William B from YouTube asked, what's the best Oregon city or region to live in for hiking? So that really depends on what kind of climate you like to hike and live in. So the top town that comes to mind is obviously Bend or Sisters in Central Oregon. There are trails 10 to 15 minutes from town that are just right in the mountains and absolutely stunning. So those would probably be the best places to live. However, you do pay a pretty penny to live in those areas. Eugene and Salem are good places as well because you are equidistant from the coast as well as to the mountains. So it's about an hour and 15 to the coast and about an hour and a half to the mountains. I think Eugene and Salem are pretty awesome and a little bit cheaper to live in than Bend. And of course, big city living, Portland. Portland does have really pretty parks and nearby things to hike at. However, because you are in a big city, it does take a lot longer to get to these places. Mount Hood, mileage-wise, is not that far away, but driving through the city and then to the mountain can take a long time. Danita R from Facebook asked a few questions. Do you do guided hikes? So I don't technically do any guided hikes. However, I do offer a little giveaway with my 1-year Hike Oregon website membership purchase. So That will be up in about a week. And if you do purchase a 1-year membership from me during the time that it is for sale, you do get entered into a giveaway, and I am going to be doing 3 group hikes in 2020. So that is 11 people, you know, plus me, so 12 people, but 11 people times 3, so 33 people total will get to win a spot in one of these group hikes. I'm going to be having group hikes in the Portland area, Central Oregon area, as well as Southern Oregon. So stay tuned for that if you are interested in an opportunity to win one of those spots. She also asked, what resources do you use for equipment and supplies? So I'm assuming she means shops. I do shop primarily at REI just because their return policy is so amazing. You can return anything for up to a year, no questions asked. They are absolutely amazing about this, and especially if you aren't sure about things or you're still new to buying gear and you're trying things out, REI is definitely the best place to purchase your gear. Another question she had was, what do you do if one comes across pack animals or horses on the trail? So that's a very good question, and it does happen quite often in the Central Oregon area. First, make yourself heard and seen. So basically you just go, hi, how's your day? And then you step off the trail. If you don't say anything first and just step off the trail, when the horse approaches you, they might get spooked because you're on their peripheral vision. So definitely make yourself seen and heard and then step off the trail. Her last question was, what emergency items should we keep in our car in case we get injured and need them? That's an excellent question, and I personally don't have a video about this. However, I will link in the more info box below an excellent video from the channel This Girl Hikes. It's a super awesome video, and she goes through all the things that you should carry in your car for emergencies. Mark W. from YouTube asked, if one was visiting Oregon and had time to do 1, maybe 2 day hikes, what are your top 3 choices within a 100-mile radius of the Portland area? Ooh, that is hard. I would definitely recommend checking out any trails in the Columbia River Gorge. Any of the waterfall trails, especially Multnomah Falls, Joaquina Falls Loop. It is absolutely stunning. If you do want a view hike, I would definitely head up to the Mount Hood area. It depends on the time of year, but if you're hiking in the summer, maybe check out the Paradise Park Loop or Bald Mountain. Those are both super beautiful trails in the summer where you can see Mount Hood as well as wildflowers. Jeff C. from YouTube asked, advice on the best synthetic sleeping bag with an emphasis on size, weight, and warmth. So your best bet on synthetic sleeping bags, I think, is going to be the REI brand sleeping bags. They make excellent synthetic sleeping bags, and they have a variety of temperature ratings. Obviously, the colder the sleeping bag is rated, the more expensive it is going to be and the heavier it's going to be. Synthetic sleeping bags in general are heavier than down sleeping bags, obviously, because the synthetic material is just heavier than feathers. So you kind of have to think about that. The more stuffing there is in the sleeping bag, the heavier it's going to be. But definitely check out REI. Like I said, the REI branded sleeping bags are excellent. I personally have a 24-degree bag from REI, and it keeps me super warm. Sherry G from Facebook asked, I had a scary situation getting to a trailhead in the snow last year. Where do you draw the line getting to one? Speaking more of winter conditions. That's a super good question, especially right now because it is winter and people are heading into the mountains for snowshoeing and snow camping, cross-country skiing, all those types of fun activities. Personally, I have gotten stuck a few times as well, and I probably draw the line sooner than most people just because I am super scared about getting stuck. I also am not a super great snow driver, so until I gain more skills in that area, I will always draw the line sooner than probably most people would, just because I don't trust myself to get myself out. Also, I draw the line sooner if I know it is a super remote trailhead. I will probably, keep going and maybe chance it if I know it's like a road on the way to a snow park or something like that where I know, you know, it's in a busy area, there are tons of people coming by. But if it is an area that is not well traveled, you know, maybe one car track came through or something and it looks like it happened a long time ago, or I just know this is a remote trailhead, I will definitely turn around way sooner. I think it also helps that peace of mind if you are fully equipped. So like Danita's question about what to keep in your car, maybe watch that video, make sure you have all the things that you need in your car so that if you were stuck, you would not be super miserable or potentially get hypothermia or something if you had to be there overnight. Also, cat litter is super helpful if you are spinning your tires in the snow and are stuck. If you put some cat litter down, it does add a lot of traction. Also, having a rope is really helpful. Maybe like a thing to jump your battery, maybe materials to make a fire if you needed to make a fire to keep warm overnight. A shovel is really good to have too. Just having those things adds peace of mind if you were to actually get stuck. David from YouTube asked, what are the top 3 things you love about the outdoors? The top 3 things I love about the outdoors are that it revitalizes me. I feel re-energized. My brain feels clear. I would say another thing is I love the simple beauty of everything. You know, you go out there and I kind of turn into a child. Basically, I act like I've never seen these beautiful things before, even though last weekend I saw something just as beautiful. But nature sort of brings those childlike eyes out of me, which is really fun. I also really love taking photos, so the outdoors definitely inspires me. I also really love how healing nature is, spiritually, physically, and mentally. P&W Adventures and Gear Reviews from YouTube asked 2 questions. In what ways has hiking positively affected your life and relationships with your family? So hiking has definitely positively affected my relationship, especially with my siblings, because being able to share my love of the outdoors with them is something truly special, and it is memories that only us 3 can cherish and remember for the rest of our lives, and it's so special. And then of course it's positively affected my life because when I first started hiking again in my adult life, I was suffering from severe depression. For those of you OG subscribers, you know this story, and it is in one of my Q&As down below that I've linked. So you can watch that if you want to know the whole story, but it made the depression go away completely. Like I said, the outdoors is so healing spiritually, mentally, physically, in all ways. Definitely has positively affected my life and other people's lives because I get to share all of this with other people. His other question is business related, and it is, what have you found to be the most effective way to manage your time that will still allow you to grow your brand? I love this question, and not a lot of people ask like behind the scenes Hike Oregon business questions, so I love answering stuff like this. The most effective way to manage my time. I don't know if I'm super great at it. I try my best because I do have a full-time job. I would say it's not super effective in this sense that someone always loses out. So it's either Hike Oregon loses out because I don't spend enough time on it, or my family loses out because I don't get to spend time with them because I'm working on Hike Oregon. But basically what I do is most of the time I get home from work at around 4, I have a snack, I work out, then I cook dinner, and then whatever time is left in the evening, I go into my office and I work on Hike Oregon, generally from 7 to 9:30 or so, depending on what kind of projects I have going. And then one weekend day is spent entirely doing Hike Oregon. So I spend, you know, a good 8 to 9 hours just doing Hike Oregon. That's kind of how I scratch the surface on getting stuff done. I'm always behind. I always have a mile-long to-do list, but you know, there's just so much time in the day, and I'm one of those people that needs like 7 to 8 hours of sleep. I can't work till 2 a.m. and then get up at 5:30 and be ready for work. My body doesn't work like that. I get sick easily if I don't have enough sleep. I tried that and if it's crunch time for like some sort of deadline or something, I will push through and do that, but long term that is not effective, and you will crash and burn. So this is the only way that I've found to be able to do this long term. I've been doing Hike Oregon for 5 years now, not at this level. I would say in the past 2 years I've been doing it at at this level, and so far it's pretty effective, but it can't last forever, so eventually something's gotta give. Ape Man from YouTube asks, what is the best week-long 50 to 100 mile hike in Oregon? So this is definitely going to be a section of the Pacific Crest Trail. There is no other hike that really allows you to see the scenery like this section of the PCT. So the section I'm talking about is from Elk Lake, going north through the Three Sisters Wilderness, the Mount Washington Wilderness, and the Mount Jefferson Wilderness, all the way up to Olali Lake. That is by far the most beautiful, stunning section, and you see all of the big mountains. If you wanted to go further, you could go to Mount Hood and see Mount Hood as well. But if you're talking about a 50 to 100 mile section, that is definitely your best bet. Shroom Sucka from Instagram asked, do you ever eat wild mushrooms while on your hikes? We have picked mushrooms on hikes and then taken them home and cooked them and stuff like that. I personally am not super confident in identifying mushrooms, so it really only happens when I'm with someone who is super good at identifying the mushrooms, like my husband, and then we do forage and we take them home to cook. I'd rather be cycling from YouTube asked, I know everyone is different, but how do you decide on comfort versus weight when backpacking? Minus your essential videography gear, of course. That is an excellent question, and I don't really know how to answer this. You also have to factor in functionality. So if something can function as 2-in-1 or a 3-in-1 type of item, I will always take that over, let's say, 3 different items. So that's a good way to go about things, like if things can have a multi-purpose. As far as being comfortable, I always make sure that I am warm enough. That to me is super important. If I'm cold, I am miserable. So I will always pack, you know, maybe an extra layer or a warmer sleeping bag, even if it might be just a little heavier, because I am not willing to sacrifice that kind of comfort for maybe to be like half a pound lighter or something. Because if I'm miserable while I'm sleeping, for example, the hike is just not going to be fun. So that's kind of how I think about things. But honestly, things like a camp chair or things like that that aren't really going to make or break my backpacking experience, I'm gonna not take. I would rather just sit on the ground or sit on my like sleep pad or something like that instead of taking that 1-pound chair. Jason H from YouTube asked, do you have a dog? What do you think about hiking with a dog on day hikes? I do not have a dog. I don't mind hiking with dogs at all. I don't care if people bring their dogs. If they hike with me, I don't mind at all. I like dogs, no issues there. I don't think I would personally get a dog to hike with, just because it's kind of a nuisance to keep them leashed, and then if I want to take pictures, you know, they're pulling, you know, I need both hands to take a picture basically, and if they're pulling on the leash, it's like, it's just way too much, it's way too hard, and they also make your car really dirty. I personally wouldn't get a dog to hike with. You know, if I got a dog, I would get like a little dog that could maybe go on a little walk or something, but not like a big dog that would need a hike every day. Sticks A from Facebook asked, after so many wonderful Oregon hikes that you have enjoyed, is there any single destination that you consider to be your favorite? Yeah, so far, obviously I have yet to go to the Wallowas. I've heard that those are absolutely epic, but so far, I think you're gonna know what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say the Three Sisters Wilderness is by far my favorite place in Oregon. The Three Sisters Wilderness is large and so diverse. There are waterfalls and lakes and mountains, and the PCT goes through there, and it's just magical. It's beautiful. I absolutely love it, and I feel so at home in the Three Sisters Wilderness. Mark B from YouTube asked, do you know anything about small groups on hiking trips? And if so, how would I connect? I'm assuming you're talking about hiking groups. Yeah, there are a ton of hiking groups online. Mainly on Facebook is how I have connected with hiking groups. My personal favorite is Oregon Hikers and Climbers. They are here in the Willamette Valley, so in Eugene, Salem, Portland. I think there's a few people from that group in Bend as well. They are a large group and they connect all the time for hikes and backpacking trips as well. Definitely, if you are in Oregon, check out hiking Facebook groups. There are so many of them. It's a really great way to make really awesome friends. Secret Squirrel from YouTube asked, what trails would you recommend in Oregon for starting off in backpacking? We would like to obviously start off slow and maybe do an overnighter or a weekend trip and eventually work our way up to a 7-day or more trip. So I do have a post on my website, which I can link down below, all about 1 to 2 night backpacking trips in Oregon, and most of those are really great for beginners. I highly recommend the loop around Three Finger Jack. That's going to be super beautiful as well as easy, and it's a great 1-night trip. There's also a really great 2 to 3 night trip depending on how many miles you want to do around Diamond Peak. I also recommend the Rogue River Trail. Super beautiful and also pretty easy. Anything on the PCT, you know, there are sections on the PCT that are easy to get to, so you could get dropped off at like Highway 58 and then, you know, hike through and then get picked up at like Elk Lake, or you could start at Elk Lake and get picked up at Highway 242. So there's different sections you can do really easily. The Outdoors from Instagram asked, what's your opinion on hooded jackets versus non-hooded jackets and just wearing a hat or a beanie? Personally, I love the hooded jackets. I think it's the way to go, especially because it adds that extra layer. I always take a beanie anyway when I'm hiking and backpacking, but it's having that extra layer also if you were to get stuck in a storm or something like that. And then also having the hood by my neck is really nice for hiking in the winter. For some reason, I get really cold like in my neck area, especially if there's wind or snow, you know, it just gets right in there. It's horrible. But with the hood, it's just nice and protected and super cozy. So I always recommend a hooded jacket over a non-hooded jacket. Johnny R from YouTube asked, how do you look after your feet? Any tips for conditioning your feet before, during, and after? I don't do much foot care when I'm just day hiking. You know, I hike like once or twice a week max. They're minimal miles, so I'm not really putting my feet through a ton. I do like to roll out my feet if they are starting to get sore or if my shoes are starting to get a little bit old with one of these Rology cork balls. They are really awesome for rolling out your feet. I would take this on a backpacking trip too because they're super lightweight, and you can also roll out your leg muscles with them too. On backpacking trips, I just, especially if they're lengthy, I make sure that I'm not getting any hot spots or blisters. If I do get a blister, I pop it right away. It gets so much worse and so much bigger if you just let it fester. Trust me, pop it right away, drain that fluid, and it will feel so much better. And then also make sure that your toenails are clipped. There is nothing worse than an ingrown toenail or having your toenails be just a little too long and them hitting like the front of your shoe, and that's just super painful. And if that happens for a long time, you can actually lose toenails. They can get black and then fall off. So make sure to keep your toenails cut. On backpacking trips, I also make sure to clean my feet every night. That is like the one thing that's super important to me, is I clean my feet every single night. I do not go to bed with dirty feet, especially if you do have blisters or something. You know, you don't want it to get infected. You want everything to be super clean. Maybe take some baby wipes or take an extra little cloth with you so that you can wipe your feet well and have them be really clean. And last but not least, Jeff K from YouTube asked, what is your longest hike in miles to date? I will talk about day hikes and backpacking trips. So my longest day hike to date was done this year, and I did the entire length of the Mackenzie River Trail, which was 26.6 miles in one day. And my longest backpacking trip has still only been 110 miles. It was that 3 years ago, and I thought I was gonna surpass that last year when I attempted the Oregon section of the PCT, but we only ended up doing 110 miles again. So 110 miles is the longest that I've gone backpacking in one trip. Thank you so much for watching this Q&A video. If you have any questions for my next Q&A, make sure to comment them below and I will put them in my little document that I keep for these types of videos. Make sure to go follow me over on Instagram. That is where I post pictures of all my recent hiking adventures. And if you're interested in hiking and backpacking here in this lovely state of Oregon, check out my website, hikeoregon.net, and you'll find all of that information there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next adventure.